Thank you, Nicolette, for joining us for yet another episode of Under One Roof with Mirai.
No, thank you for having me. I am so excited to be here today because I actually started using the Mirai app just a few weeks ago and I've been so blown away with the performance so far. So when you all reached out, I was just blown away. I'm so excited.
I know that as the broker of Seiiki Realty and Designs Limited, you would have a lot of insight to share with us on what we're about to discuss today. So, in real estate, a lot of persons, they have to decide whether they want to buy a house or if they want to rent an apartment or a condo or whatever it may be, right? So, what are some factors they have to consider when they have to make that decision whether to rent or whether to buy?
So what I like to advise clients would be to look through the pros and cons of each, and they could truly make an informed decision. Because a lot of clients, they would first say, well, it depends on finances, but a little bit more goes into it. So I want to talk about renting first because I am a big proponent of renting. You know how in Trinidad they would always say, rent is dead money.
Yeah.
But that is not the case. Yes, you will be paying for something that isn't in your name, but there are so many perks that I like to really show my clients. So the first being, if you cannot currently afford a mortgage, rent is a simple way to have a space that is your own.
Right.
And that is the biggest pro to renting. Apart from that, renting is better when you are locked into a mortgage for, let's say, 30, 40 years. That cost doesn't change. So that means whether you are laid off, whether your salary changes, you are paying that mortgage monthly.
Right.
And I would absolutely hate to see my clients in a position where they no longer have their home. But if you are renting, you could easily say, you know what, I had a salary decrease, let's go to somewhere cheaper. So it makes it easy like that. And then apart from that, as people get older, their styles change. One day you may love a modern apartment, another day you may want something more traditional, and it's okay. You change as you get older, and so can your living space without the hassle of renovating and buying all new furniture. You have that quick change, as opposed to owning a home now. Yes, there are many pros to owning a home. Of course, this is your space. You can do whatever you like with it. So similarly to renting, how you can change the space that you are renting in with your home, you could just take that same home and make it your own.
Right.
And apart from that, you are paying for something long term that is in your name. So you could leave it for generations to come. You could leave it for your children, for your grandchildren. And I think that a lot of us like that security. Now, the downside to owning a home is that you are locked in that mortgage payment for 30 to 40 years, which may not be the ideal situation for everyone. So that being said, I like my clients to consider those factors rather than just how much money do I have before looking into renting or buying.
I'm a believer in, if you pay a monthly rent, that it could be considered dead money. So what advice you would give to clients who think that they want to rent, but when actually they could just take that same money that they put in towards the rent every month and put it towards a mortgage for a home that, would be in their name?
I would advise my clients to consider their finances because you have to look at all the aspects behind the buying process. And once you are able, there's absolutely nothing wrong with buying. Yes, I am an advocate for renting, and I think I am that way just because it has such a negative stigma around it. But I mean, buying is such a fun process and a process that I encourage in clients as well. And I would ask them to consider the following, even if they may not have their mind set. You could consider that this is something that you could pass down for generations to come. You could consider that even if you may not want to stay in this home forever, having that as an asset in your name,
yes,
you could take this now and rent it out later for an additional source of income. And in that way, your mortgage is covered and you may have additional income depending on your rental price so that you could put that towards your other home, something like that. So I would always say, look at your finances first, depending on what you could do. I would look at the pros and cons of each.
In terms of the current market conditions and affordability, do you find persons renting more or they buying more in Trinidad?
So I see a lot more persons renting, and there are a lot of buyers out there. But I do think that what people are currently qualifying for may not give them exactly what they want.
Right?
And in that regard, I usually tell clients again, there's nothing wrong with renting and holding out until you're in a better position to get exactly what you want. Or you could leverage what you can currently purchase to help you in the future as well as an asset. So it just depends on the route that persons would like to go down. But there are a lot more renters right now.
I know when you mentioned renting, one drawback was that they're not able to make it their personal space. What are some ways that persons who interested in renting can, what can they do to make their apartment, their condo, whatever they're renting, make it feel a bit more homey?
I'm so glad you asked me that because being in interior design and also my company being built on turning a house into a home, this is something that I'm very passionate about. So I think there are so many budget friendly ways that you could take a space and just make it your own. And it doesn't have to be permanent structural changes. You could take a simple space and things like decor, fittings, furnishings that are easily changeable, you could really create a sanctuary for yourself. So I always recommend to persons the first step is finding a space that you think would suit you. Or if the space doesn't exactly suit you, there are some landlords that are flexible. They may allow you to repaint or something like that. And after that, you really curate a space that works through the furnishings, the fittings, and your decor.
And I see that, wallpaper is coming back into, design. So maybe that's another way that persons can make their apartment feel a bit, a little bit more homey.
So while there are many ways to turn this space into your own, I always also advise people, and I'm just saying this because you asked about wallpaper. I always advise persons clear it with your landlord first. Right. Just because you don't want to damage a space. So there are other options such as wallpapers. Those are very hot on the market right now. And they're like $10 to $15 in most places, maybe $25, where you could get something to the resemblance of tiles. And this is a temporary solution. All of a sudden, your bathroom is a whole different color with just a $10 sticker. And in that way, what was there before is not damaged. You are still on your budget and you're good to go.
So that's on the apartment side if you're renting and you want to make your space feel a little bit more homey. But what about those persons who invest in an actual house? How do they make that space, a home beyond just the physical structure?
So in terms of making a space your own in an investment property that you purchase, I would say there are so many different options on the market now. And I think this ties back into what you asked me about wallpaper. So back in the day, it used to have maybe a few patterns, and I think that's why it became outdated. But now there are so many like updated color schemes and patterns that work so well with the modern trends that are coming out.
Right.
And apart from that, there are like WPC panels. You could add in light and fixtures so that to really create a sense of warmth in your home. Then there are so many different flooring options now that are budget friendly as well. So I like to recommend laminate tiles for persons. It's budget friendly, and you could simply put this over your existing flooring and just pick it up after.
Yes, because I feel like not much persons are going with tiles anymore. They're doing that wood finish flooring.
Yeah.
And I really feel like that just lifts the home, lifts the room. It makes it look very modern and sleek, which I feel like is the vibe that's going on right now.
Yes, definitely. I completely agree. I absolutely love to recommend laminate tiles, and some persons don't know the actual perks of it apart from like the style. This actually does not hold on to like the coolness of the room, so I recommend it especially for bedrooms, for projects, because sometimes you would turn your AC on overnight and then you get up in the morning, put your foot on the ground and you are freezing.
Yeah.
So laminate tiles tend to get rid of that, which I love. And I mean, it's just, as you said, so sleek and looks so good throughout the home to tie everything in together. So yes, I would highly recommend.
So besides flooring and accent walls and different types of wallpapers, what other elements can just lift that home and to make it feel a bit more homey and warm?
So I'm so glad you mentioned warmth because I also like to play a lot on mood lighting. You would see trending a lot that the big light stays off. So you'd see that a lot on TikTok, and I am a big proponent of that. You could use simple things like lighting fixtures, lamps, smaller lights, just to create that mood that you're really looking for, and you could tie it back into the overall setting that you're looking for. So if you're looking for a Moroccan setting, you do more like floor lamps. If you're going for something modern, you could do maybe a floor to ceiling fixture on your WPC panel.
Right.
Simple elements like that would really tie it in together.
How do you balance functionality with aesthetics? Because everybody wants to look at HGTV and TikToks, and they think that this would, well, they know it would look good in their home, but how practical and functional would it be?
So the first step in creating your space is making sure the layout goes with the flow of your everyday happenings.
Right.
Yes, something that is designed may look good, but if it doesn't work with your day-to-day run-ins, it will never work out for you in the long term. It will just look pretty. So having an interior designer on board, they would be able to make your day-to-day happenings go in tandem with what you would like to design.
In terms of that aesthetic, homey vibe, how does having an outdoor facility like a porch, or is it a pergola? That's what you call it?
Pergola.
A pergola, right? How does having that outdoor space have that role in creating that vibe?
I think it depends heavily on the person. Outdoor facilities may not work for everyone. There are some persons that prefer to just be home inside, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that, but it depends heavily on the person. Now, for persons that like outdoor facilities, it creates a tranquil environment. It helps with if you are big on events, so you definitely have a lot more space to work with in terms of entertainment.
Right. We spoke a lot about home decor and aesthetics and stuff like that. But how important is feng shui in creating that homey, that warm vibe?
Feng shui is so incredibly important in any design that you do. And I'll tell you why. You could have the most beautiful, modern, timeless home, and if it doesn't function for your day to day activities, it's going to put you off. The most integral part of the design process itself is ensuring that the home, apart from the aesthetic of it, fits with the client's needs. Right. And the needs would entail what you need in your home every day. So if you know, I need to come from my garage straight into my kitchen because I go to the grocery a lot, that needs to be catered for in the design process. And when the process of your day-to-day life comes into play in tandem with what you would like in your home, that is when you have the perfect design curated for you.
Right. And a lot of persons, they are big on energy. I'm very big on how it feels. You need to have that positive energy, a calming energy. So what I've seen on HGTV is that a lot of persons are going for hearing water trickling in the back and all those little details that just gives it that extra oomph that I love. Progress. I wanted to talk about another up and coming trend, I would say, which is smart homes and energy efficiency and those details, because you would see that a lot of persons, do they inquire about those
yes,
things?
they do. I mean, TNTech gonna raise the prices soon. I think I've heard in the past 2 years prices raising every 4 months or so.
Yeah.
So this is something that I get a lot from clients, and it's something that I have researched in depth to make sure that my clients could, make their home really friendly towards the trends that are coming up.
What are some energy saving elements that persons can adopt to, still have that aesthetically looking home, that modern feel, but on the energy saving side, cost effective side?
So I would recommend two things. I would recommend, firstly, a smart home system. And there's a misconception that a smart home system is very expensive, but that is not the case. There are small budget friendly solutions that one could implement, and it depends on, of course, the brand that you choose to use too. but there are small systems that they could implement to make your home not only smart home friendly but energy friendly. So I'll give you an example. Sometimes you're going out and you're coming back in maybe half hour, an hour. So you would leave your AC running and then maybe you end up staying longer and all that time your AC is running. Something that could easily fix that. Let's take the Akara brand for an example. You could go on your phone, and if you know you are on your way home, put your AC on from your phone. And that saves so much on energy.
Right.
So simple things like that I would recommend. And it's not just for AC, it's for lighting as well, for any appliance that you have. Just being able to look at the time that you would have these appliances running would save you so much in terms of your energy efficiency. And apart from that, I would also recommend that you look at the materials that you use when either renovating or building your home. Because with each aspect of your home, a little more goes into it that could save you in the long run on electricity.
Yeah.
So let's take gypsum for example. You use a thicker green board that will actually preserve the coolness in the room so that you don't have to have your AC running all day because you're not feeling the heat as much as you would if you were to use a thinner board. Or if you use certain colors of paint, that would actually determine the difference between your room being able to absorb the heat that's coming in or not. And then, of course, that goes into the long term look at if you're running your AC all the time. If you look at certain things such as tiles, some of them would be able to preserve the temperature of the room as well. So if you look at a fixed frame window as opposed to a crosshatch window, which would be the older style, something like that would determine the lighting you have coming in. So if you have all this natural lighting coming in, you wouldn't be so eager to turn on all the lights in your home.
Yeah.
And simple things like this could really help you save on your long-term electricity
We spoke about creating that homey vibe when you purchase a house. We spoke about renting, feng shui. So, what advice do you have to give potential home buyers or persons looking to rent in today's market?
My biggest piece of advice would be to find the right agent or agency. And I'll tell you why. At Seiiki Realty, our biggest thing is communication and information. Purchasing a home is a scary process for a lot of persons. Even myself, who is in the field, purchasing a home is very intimidating, and we ensure that our clients don't feel the brunt of that intimidation or how scary it is, how many steps are involved. So I think finding the right agent to hold your hand along the way and make sure that you are aware of every step in the process, that makes it all the more easier because as opposed to this mass of things that you need to do, your agent could be there with you every step of the way to say, firstly, let's go to the bank. Let's sit and figure out exactly what you and your family need and go from there, as opposed to you're on your own. So I would say finding the right agent.
I think, buying a home is scary. So I definitely think it's important to find that right agency or that right agent that could really hold your hand through the process because, you just need that extra certainty that you're in good hands.
Yes, definitely.
And I feel like based on our interaction today and based on all the in-depth information that you shared with us in terms of real estate and interior decorating, that anybody that comes to Seiiki Realty would be in good hands. So
I appreciate that. And yes, I can expand on a lot, but I'm just so eager to impart the knowledge that we've accumulated in all the areas that we cover to any client that comes our way. So I really appreciate that. Thank you so much.